Hello, my name is John McNamara. I'd like to talk about the declaration that came out on March 15th from the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith concerning the blessing of same-sex unions. The statement features some positive comments and also some negative. So I want to take a look at the positives first that came forth from that statement, and then some of the negative thoughts that came from that statement, and some of the criticisms of the statement, and then kind of evaluated with you. First, when we look at the positives from the statement, was the statement really talked about the importance of welcoming those who are involved in same-sex unions. And it's in a really nice tone about how we as a church have to really welcome people who are involved in same-sex unions. And as part of our welcoming, we have to make them feel at home. We have to make them feel comfortable in the church, which I thought is a very good attitude, a wonderful way to approach the idea of same-sex unions, because a lot of times there's been kind of a negative thought with regard to same-sex unions. The church, of course, has always upheld the traditional role of marriage, that in marriage it is between a man and a woman, because with that union, man and a woman, you can conceive, have children, and so that was always promoted by the church. And same-sex unions were kind of sort of looked down upon. But this statement talks about the importance. Well, we have to welcome people. They're involved in same-sex unions. They're baptized. They're Catholics. They should feel part of our community. They should feel welcome. They should feel at one with us, which I thought is a very good thing. The next thing they talked about was the importance of no discrimination with regard to same-sex couples and those who are involved in those unions. Good people, wonderful people. There should be absolutely no sense of discrimination, no sense of being treated as second-class citizens in any way, and that I thought was very positive, and also very consistent with the teaching of the Catechism of the Catholic Church, which really speaks out against discrimination against those who are involved with same-sex attractions. There should be no discrimination. They're wonderful people. They should be treated as such. Then they also talk about the importance of making them feel kind of connected to the community. And for the first time in a statement from the Vatican, I noticed that they point out the idea that in those same-sex unions, there are many positive aspects. A lot of times we look at, the negative, that, they can't have children like, the opposite sex couples can have. And so the church kind of looked askance at that, but they said no, that they really demonstrate many very positive aspects of those unions. And of course, on the practical level, the pastoral level, those of us who deal with this in terms of church community, we see this all the time. We see the wonderful gifts that people in same-sex unions bring to our church community. We see the talents they have, the creativity, the love for the Lord, and it's just a beautiful thing. It really enriches our parish communities and really is a very positive aspect to it. And so this document mentions that there are positive aspects to those unions. But then, of course, on the other side of the coin, we have some of the negative aspects of this statement. And certainly the first negative aspect that struck everybody was they say, well, you can't bless a same-sex union. We look at that and say, well, gee, why not? Why can't you bless a same-sex union? And certain bishops, particularly in Germany, had thought that this was an important thing to do to make them feel more welcome and more included in the church, to bless their union. And they certainly were priests all over the world who were doing that. And so the church said, no, you really can't do that, because really what's going to happen is that the everyday Catholic is going to be confused. And they're going to see it as kind of similar to marriage, because when you bless a union, similar to a marriage. You're going to have a lot of people in the church. There's going to be a blessing, and people are going to think, well, they get married in the church, and they're same-sex couples, and the church does not allow for that. So there's going to be a scandal that's created. So really don't bless the same-sex unions. And that was encountered by many people as kind of a negative thing. Well, you're talking about not discriminating, but you're not blessing us. And so there was certainly some negative feedback there. And the second negative aspect of it was when the document talked about the concept of sin. And it said that, God does not approve of sin. It didn't actually say that same-sex unions were sinful. It didn't go that far, but it did talk about sin, and so people read it and said, well, they're really saying that we're sinners. And so in another presentation, I'll go into that whole aspect of, the sinfulness and what creates a sin and conscience formation and all of that. But they did talk about, again, the importance of welcoming. So looking at that, how can we incorporate that into our everyday practice as Catholics in a practical pastoral setting? It seems to me that one possibility is the idea of creating a rite of welcoming. Because it does say in the document that it's important to make same-sex couples feel welcome. And it did say in the document that those who are involved in pastoral ministry, the pastors, the different ministers in the church, those who are involved in our education ministries, those who are involved in our liturgical ministries, that with their creativity, their ability to follow the Spirit, they can probably develop ways of making same-sex couples feel welcome. And they talk about the Book of Blessings and the possibility of different blessings for those individuals who are involved in same-sex unions, that you're not really blessing the union, but you're blessing the person more. And you're blessing the persons who obviously are involved in a same-sex union because, again, they're baptized Catholics. They're part of our community. They love Jesus. They love the Lord. They're baptized and they want to be part and connected because they feel that sense of the spiritual connection with the Catholic community. They like the liturgy. They like to be involved in the parish community. They like to share their gifts and talents with the parish. And they like to follow their Catholic faith. So how do we make them feel welcome without necessarily giving a blessing to the union? And so the document said, well, the pastors, probably the best ones who are equipped to really do that sort of thing. They work on the parish level, they know the people, and they can devise a way to make them feel welcome. So my sense of this would be that a special rite of welcoming for same-sex couples could be developed, which says you are welcome. We want you to be in our parish. We want you to be part of our community. We love you. We recognize the gifts and talents that you have, as this document does. It says there are many positive aspects to your same-sex couples. And so we want to develop that right. And the Book of Blessings, of course, has many suggestions for that. But then the creativity on the individual level to make those feel welcome. So I think that's a good way to kind of look at this document, to develop something that is positive, that is warm, that is welcoming, that recognizes the wonderful gifts and talents that our same-sex couples bring to our parish community.